You don't need to ask how someone feels about you, just watch how they greet you. When someone's heart is in it, their hello is full of energy, presence, and intention. You feel it in their eyes, their tone, their timing. But when it's casual, lazy, or dry, that's not connection, that's convenience. Stop explaining away cold energy. The way they meet you says everything. And if you're not being greeted like someone they're excited to see, you're not being seen at all. There's a language that speaks louder than words, and it's the energy someone brings into your life. Before a single sentence is said, their presence enters the room with a feeling that's either full of warmth or void of meaning. When someone truly values your presence, it shows in how they light up the moment they see you. It's not just about a greeting. It's about the intention behind it. The look in the eyes, the shift in tone, the way they stop what they're doing just to acknowledge you. These subtle actions are never random. They're powerful reflections of where you stand in someone's life. A casual, hey, isn't bad, but when someone feels deeply, they don't do things halfway. You feel their emotion, not through what they say, but how they show up. And when the moment matters, people either rise with presence or fall into indifference. Too many people overlook how much meaning is packed into a greeting. It might seem small, but it sets the tone for the entire relationship. The way someone approaches you, whether physically or emotionally, is a mirror of how they perceive your importance. It's the first few seconds that tell you everything you need to know about what you mean to them. That pause, that excitement, that sincerity, they all add up to something that can't be faked. If someone steps into your space with intentional energy, it's because you matter. But when it feels routine, automated, like a task to complete, the truth is already speaking. The smallest things often carry the biggest messages, and you must learn to hear what silence and subtlety are saying. Energy doesn't lie. Connection doesn't whisper. It shows up fully or not at all. When someone greets you like you're part of the background, you start to shrink in the mirror of their disinterest. You begin to feel replaceable, like your presence doesn't shift the atmosphere. That's not because you're any less deserving. It's because people reveal how they see you in how they meet you. Think about it. When something or someone excites you, your whole demeanor changes. Your face softens or lights up. Your voice rises slightly and you lean into the moment. Now reverse that. If none of that is present when someone sees you, then it's not excitement, it's obligation. And you are not meant to be tolerated or acknowledged out of habit. You deserve to be felt, to be seen with new eyes every time. You deserve someone who notices your arrival like a fresh breath in a stale room. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. If you keep accepting indifferent energy, you start normalizing it. Soon you're explaining it away, justifying why someone can't bring a little more light into their hello. But the truth is, enthusiasm doesn't need a reason. It's natural when there's emotional investment. When someone's eyes don't shift, their voice doesn't change, and their posture stays cold, that's not emotional connection. It's disconnection dressed in politeness. And too often, we call it normal because we're afraid to admit we've been demoted from priority to afterthought. You must hold the line on what you accept, not because you're difficult, but because your presence has value. It's not about demanding over-the-top greetings. It's about recognizing when something lacks care. The beginning of any interaction tells you what to expect next. If it starts with attention, warmth, and interest, it usually builds into more of the same. If it begins with monotony or distance, it tends to decline even further. First moments are blueprints. They show you how someone plans to build with you. When someone shows up casually, they're not trying to stand out. They're not trying to leave an impression. That's not necessarily malicious, but it does matter. Because in a world where people perform effort when it benefits them, genuine energy is rare. You don't need fireworks, just consistency and presence. And if you're not met with that from the start, don't be surprised when it fades even more with time. Every person you meet gives off a frequency, and your spirit knows how to read it. You feel it when you're appreciated. You feel it when you're just an option. It's in the pacing of a message, the softness of a voice, the lean of a body during an embrace. People express how much you mean to them without needing a grand gesture. The sincerity is in the small things, in how they initiate. If you find yourself questioning whether you matter, it's usually because the greeting lacks soul. You don't need to ask someone to do more. You need to observe whether they want to. Energy reveals everything. You just need to stop making excuses for what's already clear. When someone is excited by your existence, their welcome will feel like home. Some of the strongest signs of connection are not spoken, they're felt. When someone values your presence, their attention isn't divided when you enter the room. Their eyes find you. Their words become intentional. Their body faces yours like you're the center of that moment, not because you're begging for attention, but because they've chosen to offer it freely. You can always tell who's paying real attention versus who's just going through the motions. When you're truly significant, a simple hi carries warmth that lingers. But when it's hollow, no amount of words can cover the emptiness behind them. You don't need dramatic entrances, you need genuine connection. And the moment someone sees you, their actions should reflect that value without you having to ask. When someone respects your time, your energy, your being, they show up with presence. They don't treat your arrival like a side note, they make space for it. There's a difference between familiarity and laziness. Just because someone sees you, often, doesn't mean their appreciation should fade. In fact, consistency should deepen it. A person who values you doesn't use comfort as an excuse for carelessness. The more they know you, the more they cherish your impact. That starts with the very first greeting, every single time. You are not just another face in the day, you're a force that should be felt. And when someone gets that, even their simplest hello becomes a reflection of that recognition. If your presence doesn't move someone, your absence never will either. So many chase validation from people who can't even greet them with intent. But when someone's truly drawn to you, they can't help but respond with energy, with interest, with a kind of reverence. It's not forced, it's instinctive. You walk in and their awareness sharpens. You say something and they actually hear it. That begins with how they greet you. That beginning matters. Because beginnings are entrances into deeper places, and they only open for those who notice the door. You deserve to be welcomed, not acknowledged out of routine. You deserve a greeting that feels like a moment, not a habit. When you're truly wanted, you don't have to decode behavior or obsess over the little things. There's a calm that comes with knowing you're being chosen, not questioned. It shows in the consistency, the tone, and the energy of every interaction. You don't find yourself rereading messages trying to find meaning in silence. You don't sit there wondering if your value has changed based on the mood of the day. When someone really wants you in their life, they don't make you feel like a puzzle. There's no game of mixed signals, no highs followed by confusing lows. It's clarity wrapped in comfort, and you recognize it by how easy it feels. That ease is rare, but once you feel it, you never want to settle for less again. It starts with how you're greeted, how you're received, when you enter someone's space. When there's real interest, that moment feels charged with positive attention. It's not just another exchange, it's a spark. There's life in their voice, intention in their body language, and a noticeable shift in the room's energy. Even the smallest word carries emotion when it's coming from a place of care. It's not forced or exaggerated, it's natural and full of sincerity. You feel welcomed, not tolerated. You feel special, not just another part of the day. And that moment, however brief, tells you more than hours of conversation could. Because the way you're greeted reflects how deeply your presence is felt. There is something so powerful in not having to chase reassurance. When you're truly appreciated, you don't need to keep asking Do I matter? Or am I being seen? The answer shows up in their first response to you. It's visible in their excitement, audible in their tone, and undeniable in their eyes. That energy makes everything clearer. It takes the guessing out of connection and replaces it with emotional certainty. The moment you walk in, you feel the shift. You feel like the day got better just because you arrived. It's not about grand gestures. It's about emotional engagement. It's about showing up for someone with a heart that's open and present. When someone's emotionally invested, they don't let their greetings feel flat or empty. They don't operate on autopilot when you come around. They tune in, they show up, they express interest with ease. That's what happens when someone is excited about your presence. It naturally shows. There's no need to fake it. No need to pretend. The smile is real. The enthusiasm is effortless. Even on the tough days, they make an effort to greet you with intent because that's what genuine connection looks like. It doesn't vanish with changing moods. And when someone can't even greet you with a flicker of joy, the emotional investment simply isn't there. You don't need to be overanalyzing messages or interpreting facial expressions when connection is strong. You don't need to shrink yourself just to fit someone's inconsistent interest. When you are genuinely wanted, everything feels balanced. It feels safe because you are calm and confident and connected. And that feels there's no pressure to prove your worth. There's no need to rehearse your tone or filter your presence. You're allowed to just be and still feel fully seen. That is the kind of peace that can't be forced. It can only come from someone who truly values who you are, and that peace begins the moment they welcome you, not with words alone, but with honest energy. People show their priorities in how they initiate, not just how they respond. A warm greeting is a sign of someone who's present and emotionally aware. It's not about being overly expressive or dramatic. It's about care. It's about treating you like you matter every time you show up. And when someone truly feels something for you, that care doesn't fade in and out like a passing mood. It becomes a standard, a rhythm in the way they relate to you. You feel it in how they look at you. You sense it in their pace, their posture, their openness. That's not just attraction, that's emotional presence showing up at the door. Sometimes we confuse comfort with connection. Just because someone is familiar doesn't mean they're emotionally engaged. You have to look at how they act in the smallest moments. A flat "hey" after hours of silence says more than a paragraph of excuses. If there's no warmth in the way they open up to you, then that's your truth. You can't keep rewriting someone's signals to fit your hope. The way someone greets you is raw. It's instinct, not calculation. An instinct tells the truth. You deserve someone whose instinct is to lean in, not fade out. Someone who reflects value the second they notice you. You are not meant to wonder whether your presence made a difference. You are not supposed to question your impact or chase validation. When you walk into someone's world and they truly feel something for you, their behavior reflects that immediately. It's in how they shift their attention. It's in how they soften their tone. It's in how they make space for you without being asked. Those small cues speak volumes. And once you experience this level of presence, it becomes impossible to accept anything less. You stop settling for cold greetings and emotional absence. You learn what real connection feels like, and you start protecting your energy from anything that lacks that depth. The way you are greeted is not just a reflection of how someone feels, it's also a reflection of how they see you. If you are always met with distance or indifference, that becomes your emotional environment. It drains you. It makes you question your self-worth. But when you are greeted with attention, kindness, and consistency, you thrive. You glow differently. You open up more freely. That's the kind of space every person deserves to walk into. And that begins with someone who sees you not as a convenience, but as a gift. A gift they don't take for granted. a gift they're genuinely excited to receive every single time. When you stop chasing cold energy, you start attracting real connection. You start attracting real connection. You no longer tolerate interactions that feel flat, forced, or obligatory. You no longer silence your intuition just to maintain someone's presence. You begin to trust what you feel in those first few moments of every exchange. You begin to listen to the way someone makes you feel when they first lay eyes on you or hear your voice. Because the truth is, that beginning always carries the truth. And you deserve someone whose truth includes warmth, effort, and care. Not someone who greets your presence like a passing moment, but someone who meets it with genuine intention. The standards you accept become the instructions you give to the world about how you want to be treated. Every time you accept indifference, you signal that your energy doesn't need to be met with effort. Every time you welcome carelessness, you lower the bar for what love and attention should feel like. It might seem harmless to overlook a dull greeting, but it sets the tone. You are not just allowing a moment, you're shaping a pattern. The way someone starts a conversation with you is never random. It's a reflection of how much thought they put into you. If you let lazy energy slide, you give it permission to return. Over time, that indifference grows roots. And before you know it, you're existing in a connection where effort is optional and presence is mechanical. When you raise your standard, you create space for something better to enter. You're not demanding too much by wanting to feel acknowledged and appreciated. Wanting a greeting that carries warmth isn't being dramatic, it's being aware of your emotional needs. Your time is valuable, your presence is valuable, and anyone who gets access to that should treat it with care. From the very first word. That doesn't mean expecting perfection, but it does mean expecting presence. When someone can't even begin an interaction with intention, it's not a one-off. It's a preview of how lightly they'll hold you, how casually they'll handle your heart. And your job is not to shrink your worth to fit into that level of energy. There's a difference between giving grace and accepting patterns that hurt you. Grace is for the rare off days, not the default experience. If someone always greets you like it's a task or an afterthought, you must ask yourself why you're still calling it connection. You were not built to be treated with passivity. You were not meant to feel like a burden in someone's day. And when you stop defending weak effort, you give yourself permission to receive something stronger. You create room for connection that begins with clarity. A true exchange starts with intention. It doesn't stumble in late, half-hearted, or distracted. The beginning always matters. And when the beginning lacks effort, the relationship will always feel like it's trying to catch up. People don't always listen to what you say, but they do pay attention to what you tolerate. When you stay in spaces that drain you, you teach others that your emotional needs are flexible, that they can offer you less and still be welcomed in. But the truth is, your standard is not a punishment. It's a mirror that reflects what you've learned to love about yourself. If you've learned that your peace matters, you'll guard it. If you've learned that your heart is rare, you'll protect it. And that protection starts from the very first interaction. The way someone shows up to greet you is your first glimpse into their consistency. Don't excuse away a lack of effort. Don't rewrite apathy into affection. It's easy to confuse patience with permission. But waiting around for someone to change how they show up is not strength, it's self-betrayal when the pattern never changes. If someone keeps giving you just enough to keep you around but never enough to feel full, you're starving yourself emotionally. That starvation starts with the tiniest neglects, a cold tone, a missed smile, a lifeless hey. These moments may seem small, but they add up. And if you're constantly adjusting to accept less, then you're slowly lowering your own expectations. You deserve to walk into someone's world and feel like your presence matters. You deserve to be greeted with energy that reminds you you're not just seen, you're cherished. When you set the tone, others either rise to meet it or quietly exit. And that's a gift. because clarity will always serve you more than confusion ever will. If someone can't match the energy you bring to a connection, let their silence be your answer. When you decide that your standard is non-negotiable, you stop attracting people who only show up when it's convenient. You start drawing in people who are ready to see you, hear you, and meet you where you are. That readiness always shows itself early. You feel it in how someone initiates, how they reach out, how they welcome you into their space. You won't need to beg for it. You won't need to chase it. It's not about being hard to please. It's about being hard to forget. When you show up with your full self, your warmth, your kindness, your energy, you deserve to be met with the same. And when someone chooses to greet you like an afterthought, they're not reflecting your worth. They're exposing theirs. Don't let someone else's inability to show up wholeheartedly convince you to dim your light. Keep your energy high. Keep your expectations clear. Because the way you hold yourself becomes the filter through which others decide how to approach you. And if you hold yourself with value, only those who recognize that value will stay. You don't need to lecture someone to change their greeting. You only need to step back and stop rewarding inconsistency. When someone knows you'll respond no matter how they treat you, there's no motivation to elevate. But when you choose silence over forced conversations and distance over diluted energy, you reset the dynamic. You are showing, not telling, what you deserve. That's the most powerful statement you can make. People learn from what you reinforce. And when you stop reinforcing what feels wrong, you start attracting what feels right. It's in those quiet moments of self-respect that everything begins to shift. Connection is not supposed to feel like a negotiation. You shouldn't have to convince someone to greet you like they're glad you exist. That should be the natural flow of a healthy bond, effort without reminders, presence without pressure. The moment you have to chase enthusiasm, it's no longer real. It's a reaction, not a reflection of how someone actually feels. And you weren't born to settle for reactions. You were made to be chosen deliberately. And that choice will always echo in the smallest moments, especially in how someone greets you, how they welcome your presence, and how they value your time. Real interest always expresses itself through effort. It's in the tone of a voice that suddenly softens when speaking to someone who matters. It's in the pause someone takes to look up from their phone because your presence deserves more than divided attention. There's a difference between politeness and passion, and that difference shows in the smallest of moments. When someone truly feels something, they don't greet you like you're just another task on a list. They greet you like a highlight, like a moment they've been waiting for. The sincerity can't be mimicked because it doesn't come from a place of obligation. It comes from a place of desire, emotional desire, not just physical. That desire naturally shapes the energy of their welcome. And when that energy is missing, so is the meaning. There's an undeniable warmth that comes with authentic connection. It doesn't require dramatic gestures or overly expressive words to make an impact. Even the simplest greeting carries a different weight when it's backed by real feelings. You can feel when someone is present versus when someone is just being polite. Presence doesn't need a script. It needs attention. It needs emotional involvement. It needs a heartbeat behind the hello. You start to recognize it once you stop accepting the empty kind. The kind that feels rushed. The kind that feels like you're just part of a routine. But real connection doesn't make you feel like part of a routine. It makes you feel rare. It's not about how someone says hello. It's about what the moment feels like. There's a difference between someone who greets you because they feel they should and someone who greets you because they truly want to. The difference is energy. The difference is intentionality. One makes you feel needed. The other makes you feel replaceable. One makes time stop. The other barely acknowledges you're even there. You are meant to be felt, not just seen. When you are genuinely appreciated, even the smallest interactions feel alive. And that aliveness is never accidental. It's born from someone who values what you bring into their world. Someone who genuinely feels drawn to you, treats your presence like a gift. You are not background noise or an interruption to their schedule. You are the part of the day that matters. That doesn't mean they perform for you. It means they pay attention. That attention turns an ordinary moment into something unforgettable. They don't allow distraction to interfere with that first glance, that first smile, that first word. Because to them, greeting you is not a formality, it's a privilege. Not everyone knows how to hold something meaningful when it shows up, but those who do always lead with intention, and you can sense that the second they meet your eyes. Effort doesn't mean extravagance, it means thought, it means care, it means awareness. Awareness of how your energy deserves to be met. Awareness of what your presence brings into a space. There's effort in slowing down to really see someone. There's effort in softening the voice just to match the moment. These are small things, but they leave deep impressions. You don't need someone to give you the world. You need someone who can recognize the world they already have when you're in it. And that recognition always begins with the energy in a greeting. If that energy is cold, dismissive, or robotic, it reveals more than words ever could. There's a different kind of peace that comes from being met with presence. You don't feel like you're imposing or waiting for someone to catch up to your level of excitement. You feel like you're on the same frequency from the start. That alignment makes everything feel easier, more genuine, more human. It's not about perfect compatibility. It's about shared effort, the kind of effort that doesn't need to be forced or scheduled. It just flows. And that flow is evident in the first few seconds of every interaction. You feel safe there. You feel grounded. Because being met with presence isn't just emotionally fulfilling, it's deeply empowering. When someone is emotionally invested, you feel it before they even speak. Their attention is already reaching for you. Their body language leans in. Their tone becomes softer, clearer, more open. You don't need to earn that kind of engagement. It arrives with you. That's what real interest looks like. It doesn't sit back and wait for you to prove yourself. It shows up eager, engaged, and willing. When you're in the presence of someone who truly values you, there is no hesitation in their greeting. There is no emotional distance. There is no confusion. You are met with openness, because that's what the heart does when it recognizes something meaningful. Some people will say hello out of habit. Others will say hello and make you feel like the only person in the world. You'll always know which one you're dealing with by how the greeting feels, not sounds, feels. That emotional depth can't be faked. You either feel acknowledged or ignored. You either feel welcomed or tolerated. You either feel like a connection is being built or like you're holding the weight of it alone. Every smile, every gesture at the beginning reveals the truth of that moment. You just have to be willing to notice it. And when you do, stop justifying energy that doesn't make you feel seen. Presence doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. It just needs to be real. When someone's eyes light up at the sight of you, you don't need grand speeches. When someone slows down to meet you with their full attention, you don't need proof of your worth. In that moment, you literally don't need proof. You just need to know that you are seen. It's already being communicated through their actions. That kind of energy grounds you. It reminds you that connection should feel mutual, that being greeted with genuine care is not a luxury, it's a standard. And if you've ever felt the contrast, you know just how important that standard is. Because nothing feels colder than being around someone whose attention has gone missing. You are not asking for too much by expecting to be met with interest. You are not too intense for wanting to feel emotionally safe in the very first moment. You deserve to feel like you matter, not just when it's convenient, but consistently. You deserve effort that doesn't need to be begged for. And the beauty of genuine effort is that it doesn't feel like effort. It feels like connection. You walk in and it's already there. You speak and it's already heard. That's how you know it's real. Not because someone says it, but because they show it from the very start.